Hello everyone, it's Eliza McNamara here to talk to you today about why I believe that many prime ministers and business people lose their position, their power, and basically lose their perspective. And I believe the reason for this is they forget how to enjoy life. They forget about having fun. And if you don't have fun, you lose perspective and you lose your ability to do your job properly. Because we have basic needs in life, like you need like food and water and shelter, and you need to have like belonging and all of these. There's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and all these needs that you absolutely have to have met. But one need which we forget about sometimes when we're trying to achieve something is the need to have fun. You absolutely have to have fun in order to be able to work hard. It's absolutely essential. And if you're doing work you love, that's great, it's fantastic, but you still need to make sure that you have fun, because otherwise you lose perspective, and the reason why you did things in the first place kind of becomes lost amongst a sea of crap. Because, like, let's say your objective is to become a millionaire by the time you're 30, right? You can achieve this goal if you do two things. If you focus, but if you also remember to have fun as well. Because if you become too obsessed about something, then it's kind of counterproductive and you actually end up killing the thing which you were trying to grow. It's like if you try to water a plant too much, what happens? The water drowns the plant and the plant dies. And the way you could liken that to a human being is, if a human being works too hard, a human being literally will shorten their life expectancy and die earlier than they would have had they have allowed themselves to have fun. And some people take this to the opposite extreme. Most people don't find a balance between the two. You either get the workaholic or the person who's just lazy and can't be bothered to do anything. And it's kind of a paradox, because if you could just take 50% of the person who knows how to have fun and who's lazy and put that into the workaholic, then you actually get a very balanced, normal person. But you normally get one or the other, don't you? You get the workaholic who's like, no, I've got to get this done, I've got to be busy, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And really, you could call it an unhealthy addiction, because the reason they have this addiction to work is because there's something which is bothering them, which they don't want to address, although they probably wouldn't admit this even to themselves. And by focusing on work obsessively, they get to forget about whatever it is that's really bothering them. And also they get the high that you get from being successful whatever you're doing, which is a fantastic high. But on the other hand, you get people who are obsessed about having fun, and these people are good for a short period of time, but they can become quite tiresome, and they can be very, 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 very lazy, and they just can't find the motivation to get themselves to move towards wherever they want to go towards, because they're just lazy. And a lot of this has to do with upbringing. Like, maybe you were the kind of child that went home and have your parents say, right, you're allowed to do whatever you want as soon as you've done your homework. You've got to do your homework first. And I think this can actually be counterproductive, because before you actually sit down to do something, you need to make sure that you've released whatever you need to release. Like, for instance, your brain has a chemical need to pursue something which is going to make it release enough dopamine each day in order for you to focus. Like, for instance, let's say your daily activity that you do, subconsciously of course, we don't think about these things. Like, I'm not thinking about how I'm moving my arms right now, it just happens, right? If you decide each day consciously that you're going to make sure that you pursue an activity that's going to enable your brain to release enough dopamine for you to be able to feel good before you get distracted and kick yourself for being distracted, then you'll actually get more done. If this seems a bit complicated, bear with me, because I'll try and make it seem a bit more simplistic. It can be quite scientific at times. But basically, dopamine is released in many, many ways. Anything which you gain pleasure from can make your brain release dopamine and then enable you to focus and not feel distracted. Overeating is one. So if you find when you get home from work, you just have this overwhelming urge to eat 15 Big Macs, This is because your brain has not had the chance to release enough dopamine for you to be able to focus on what you need to do, because it is a chemical need. Just like we need exercise, just like we need sleep, just like we need sex, just like we need all of these basic things. It's a very basic need, and you can suppress it for a while, but suppression of any natural basic human need is going to lead to what? Distortion. And when I say distortion, I mean your behavior, your productivity will become distorted. So it's absolutely crucial that before you embark upon any big project and create a plan, let's say you have a weekly plan that you create, so right, each week I'm going to get this, and this done. In that weekly plan, you have to have at least at the very bare minimum, an afternoon, an evening or a morning that is just dedicated to you having fun. Because when you have fun, then the reason you're doing things comes back to you. Like, you know why you're doing things when you actually spend some time having fun and you're not just focused on work. You know, right, oh, the reason why I'm making all of this money and I'm accumulating all of this money and all of this power is so that I can enjoy life more and help other people to enjoy life more. Because what is the point in accumulating money and riches and power if you're not going to take the time to enjoy it? There's just no bloody point. Like, you could make 50 grand a week, but if you don't have time to enjoy your riches, they don't mean diddly squat, do they? You're no better off than the poor man next to you who's making $500 a week and barely scraping by each week. So really, like, you've just got to be aware enough to stop yourself from getting into this state, because it's so easy if you're on a roll and you're making loads of money and you're doing really well to get into this like blip of, oh, what happened? And it's because that person that you were bringing to your work, like for instance, obsession is never a healthy thing. Obsession about anything, obsession about work, obsession about exercise even could be a negative thing. And obviously that's a lot less common, but you understand my point. You've got to make sure that no matter what you're doing, no matter how important you think it is, that you have fun every single week, preferably every single day, because life has to be fun. Because if you lose the fun, then what was the bloody point? You know, like, life is a game. It should be like a game, not all the time. Like, you know, when you've got games, you've got like hard levels and you've got easy levels, and you have bits where it's hard and then you have bits where it's easier. Life should be like that. It should be fun. And if it's not fun, then really take a really good look at what you're doing and how you're living your life. And if you're not performing the way you feel you should be performing or could be performing, this is probably because you haven't given yourself enough time to rejuvenate and refresh and just enjoy life. Because life is beautiful. Life is fantastic if you allow yourself to experience it, because there are so many things you can do, but you've got to get out of your bubble, because we all have like our conditioned patterns, our conditioned ways of operating. Like, you know, for instance, if you go to work, you go via the same route every day, and you have certain ways of brushing your teeth, and you like to lie on a certain side of the bed, and you know, all of these habits are great. But if you can become aware of them, you can stop yourself from getting caught in unconstructive patterns. So then you can be free to create a more constructive, more productive pattern which serves you better.
I ain't gonna question this new energy. I ain't gonna hold back, cause I'm free. Cause I'm free, I'm growing every single day. Now I let my passions lead the way.